Ahead of the election, environmentalists in the country have been scrutinizing candidates' green policies. NGO Greenpeace has released a report comparing the three main parties' climate and energy goals and say none of them are doing enough.
目前这3位候选人，他在气候政策上都是不及格的，都是有待加强的。
Welcome to The Scoop. We're coming to you live from the TaiwanPlus newsroom here in downtown Taipei. I'm Andrew Ryan, today here with two reporters, Sally Jensen and also Eric Tai. Hi, guys.
Hey.
All four candidates have goals that fall short of 40% energy from renewables by 2030. Two of them have no goals. Now, I have to ask you, this weekend was supposed to be a debate on climate.
Yes.
Between the candidates, what happened?
So Greenpeace had kind of organized a debate between the presidential candidates to discuss how they intend to reach net zero, because Taiwan has this net zero goal, which all the candidates, to be fair to them, are thinking of pursuing. They want to pursue this international goal to reduce the country's carbon emissions, but they don't agree on how to reach that goal necessarily.
And apparently they didn't even agree to join in the debate? Is that correct?
Yeah, so they actually cancelled. Lai Ching-te pulled out of the debate. He said that he had not actually agreed to it in the first place. And then, so because of that, it was just cancelled. The event itself, it's an action expo, climate action expo kind of gathering, but the candidates won't be present. This is not the only song and dance to greet the audience at the opening of Taiwan's third Climate Action Expo. The event aims to showcase the country's commitment to combating the climate crisis. But the much-awaited main feature, a climate debate between presidential candidates, will not be happening.
Let me introduce Vice President Lai Ching-te.
Ruling Democratic Progressive Party candidate Lai Ching-te said last week he had never agreed to take part in the debate, which would have seen him lay out his climate policies against opposition candidates Hou You-yi and Wen-je. So the organizers, the International Climate Development Institute, called the debate off. When asked why, they told TaiwanPlus.
因为在联系上面，因为每个候选人都有很多的考量了，那我想行程上面大家都会去做他最适当的安排，所以我想我们大概只是都尊重对方的意愿。那如果说他有答应，我们当然是很高兴。那如果正常他有其他的考虑，其实没有说临时后悔这件事情是没有的。
It's an unexpected cancellation, particularly as Lai announced his carbon net zero policy just the day before the expo opened. It would have been the first time in Taiwan for presidential hopefuls to hold a debate focused on climate. In other countries, such debates are becoming a key part of campaigns.
我在世界各地的大选，我们都看到有因为气候变迁越来越受到关注而出现这个 climate debate 气候辩论的这样的情况。那在台湾，我们是很希望能够推动，但非常可惜没有成功。Net zero.
Many of the expo's participants and climate activists feel Taiwan's presidential candidates are not prioritizing climate issues.
我觉得就是气候变迁议题应该是总统大选重要的议题，然后应该要候选人们应该都出来表达他的政见跟想法。今年很可惜是明年在大选之前却没有这总统的候选的辩论，是非常可惜的事情。
Around the world, many people are demanding that leaders take action on what they see as humanity's biggest challenge. Taiwan's Climate Action Expo is supposed to be a part of this global movement. But with the key element, the presidential candidates debate, no longer on the agenda, it may be the political inaction that ends up sticking in people's minds.
What's interesting is that all four candidates do agree on one thing. They agree on net zero by 2050. I'm curious, you've seen Lai's plan today, you know a little bit about it. How does his plan differ from the other three candidates?
So he basically, so one of the major issues with Taiwan pursuing net zero is energy. Of course, for many countries, energy is the key to reaching net zero, making sure people still have electricity and power.
And of course, this is important not just for the average citizen, but also for big, factories.
Companies.
Taiwan produces a lot of electronics. We need electricity to do that, yeah.
So even though Taiwan should also be reducing its carbon emissions, they're also looking at ways, how can they use more renewables? And Lai is really pushing forward with renewables. He wants to expand. This has been DPP policy for quite a long time now. But generally, the DPP is fairly anti-nuclear. They want to phase out nuclear power in the country, and this is a very controversial issue in Taiwan.
The man standing for president for Taiwan's ruling party, Ching-te, says he's sticking with its policy of a nuclear-free homeland, just a week after telling students at a town hall that the country could bring back nuclear power if there was an energy emergency, such as China blockading the island. At another event, Lai made clear that he still wants to rid the country of nuclear power by 2025, after his comments were interpreted as a loosening of policy.
未来也会持续加强推动绿能的发展，但至于极端紧急的情况，我们也必须要预先设想可能的解决方案。不过这一些仍然需要跟社会进行沟通对话。
Whereas the opposing candidates, particularly Hou Youyi, he's kind of made a name for himself as the pro-nuclear candidate.
Lai's main challenger, Hou Youyi of the Kuomintang or KMT, has yet to reveal his energy policy, but he says the government's 2025 goal is out of reach. And he says the ruling party's more than 7 years in power has led to energy shortages and inflation.
民进党为什么要让他政党轮替？我们为什么做得会比他好？我们要用这些议题来凸显我们有能力，也有比民进党做到更好。
Nuclear provides 10% of Taiwan's power. Businesses worry that without nuclear energy, Taiwan will experience more power cuts and be less self-sufficient as it deals with increasing threats from China, which claims sovereignty over the democratic island.
They want to make sure that power is stable, and also they want to stop relying on the fossil fuels that are imported from abroad. We've seen so many issues with gas in the past few years due to all these different wars and crises happening around the world.
So there's a concern that we might not be able to import them, or they might be too expensive, but also it's a defense issue.
Yeah.
Taiwan's security can be at stake if we have to rely on foreign sources for our power. What's interesting, I saw Lai was suggesting more types of green energy. Already Taiwan has wind, it has solar. He's suggesting hydrogen, geothermal, biomass, ocean energy. Is it going to be enough? I guess that's the million-dollar question.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, Taiwan's energy consumption continues to rise, and it's quite a small country. There are so many things like the wind power and the solar panels. They're already causing land disputes with local communities, especially farmers and agriculture. So it really is a big dilemma for whoever wins the presidency next year. How can we make sure that everybody is able to pursue this goal of net zero, but at the same time make sure that communities are not too affected?
Yeah, and I think that actually it's a hard case for Lai to make. Public opinion in Taiwan used to be very anti-nuclear. There was a referendum a number of years ago, and public opinion switched. So now I think more than most people in Taiwan apparently support nuclear energy.
Well, I mean, I remember when I was a kid, I was maybe like 10 years old or something like that. There's a photo of me on the channel, actually, talking about how I was led on the streets with my family protesting the 4th nuclear power plant. And this was when I was like 10 years old. So it's a protest that's been discussed for a very, very long time. And yeah, I think the sentiment's definitely changed a little bit. I think definitely with what's even more interesting, the one person who's been pushing a lot for nuclear is actually the campaign manager for Terry Guo as well, too. So there is a huge mix of that. And it gets difficult because Taiwan is so reliant on chip making, which requires a lot of water and a lot of energy. At the same time, it's still a huge agricultural export, which means that, again, a lot of land is needed, a lot of energy is needed. And at the same time, things like solar takes up land. You take either the solar for the solar energy or for the plant. So it becomes a huge problem, especially talking about the economy as well, too.
Yeah.
Well, it's an issue that people definitely care a lot about. Just a reminder, you're watching The Scoop, and we're coming to you from the TaiwanPlus newsroom.